First, I'd like to give a special thanks to Paramount Motors for making this video possible. They supplied the car in today's video, and I'm a past customer. They are a very nice dealership, and I've had really good experiences. I highly recommend them if you're in the market for an electric vehicle. They are located just south of downtown Seattle, near the old Rainier Brewery. Hi, this is John with The Evolving World. Today I'm doing a video on a 2017 Kia Optima Plug-in Hybrid with the EX trim level. The color you see is snow white pearl white with black leather interior. This video will be basically shot in 4 segments. The first segment will be myself walking around the vehicle, just showing you what it looks like from the outside, zooming into some details if there's anything that kind of stands out to me, tell you my impressions of the exterior. And then the second segment will be the interior, and that's basically just stepping into the interior, looking around, pushing buttons, honking the horn, turning on the wipers, kind of playing with the video display, so all the kind of things that you might encounter when you're inside the car. Third segment will be driving impressions. I'll take it on the road, take it on some twisty roads, take it on a highway, go through a tunnel, kind of show you what impressions are as I'm driving it. And fourth segment will basically be just charging, any kind of charging issues I have or any delights that I find with the car, and then any kind of final thoughts. One of the many things I find attractive about this car is the general look of it. It's just very clean, very elegant, very timeless. I think this shape will hold well in many years to come. So the differences between the hybrid plug-in versus the hybrid and the standard Optima are very, very subtle. I mean, there's obviously the plug there. I mean, that's there in the left front quarter panel. The wheels are a little bit different. A little bit smooth, a little bit more aero. And the bumpers, the front and rear bumpers are a little bit different. If you look closely, you see it's a different shape. And one thing that's really interesting about this car is it has these shutters right there in the grille. They appear to be closed here in the shot because it's probably cold out. So one of the things that's is that it's cool because they're active. So they'll actually close when it's cold out to kind of preserve a little bit of heat. And it actually helps with the CD too. It lowers it down to 0.25. That's pretty slick for such a bigger, fat car, because this is a pretty wide car, pretty good size. It's also a pretty heavy car. It's about 3,900 pounds, which is about 252 pounds heavier than the standard hybrid, and about 500 pounds heavier than the standard Optima with no hybrid. But it's a very roomy car, though, as I'll go into greater detail as we get into the interior, especially the back seat. So it's not like you're driving a small car. I mean, you feel it's a very substantial feeling car. And of course, there's no cheap beam axle here. It's got a proper independent suspension. Being the fact that this is a plug-in hybrid, it has a motor that's perfectly capable of propelling the car. And it also has an engine that's perfectly capable of propelling the car. So we have a 67 horsepower electric motor with 151 pounds of torque. And we have a 2-liter 4-cylinder Atkinson-style gas engine with 154 horsepower and 139 pounds of torque. So the total combined is 202 horsepower and 277 pounds of torque. With a charge on the battery and gas in the tank, driving the front wheels, this will propel the car to 0 to 60 in about 8 seconds. I like those gas struts too. It makes it easy to open the hood with one hand. The EPA rates the range at 29 miles on electric mode, and then 610 miles total combined. One unfortunate difference between this and the standard hybrid is you lose about 3 cubic feet of trunk space. As you can kind of see, there's a lump there, and actually the rear seat does not fold, so you can't get any kind of expansion of storage capacity. The flip side to that coin is, by having the battery pack located in the rearmost part of the car, right behind the rear axle, down low, it actually acts as almost as a counterweight to the engine in the front. So the weight distribution has improved to 55 front and 45 in the rear. Wow, this is a very roomy car. I mean, this is almost like a full-size car. I mean, this leg loop is enormous back here. It's the first thing I noticed about this car, just in general. I mean, it's a mid-sized car, but it's feeling like a full-size car to me. It must be like borderline or something, because it's really quite roomy. So this is the EX version, so it comes nicely equipped standard. As a matter of fact, the only thing else you can get is the tech package, which is like a $5,250 option, which adds a few more other things like the panoramic sunroof and some semi-autonomous stuff. But you probably won't miss that too much. Yeah. Yeah, so that was with the seat pretty far back, and there was still enormous amount of leg room back there. Like, I mean, it's not like the seat was forward or anything. It's actually quite back quite a bit still. So back seat's very roomy, very comfortable. It's generally like a high quality car. I mean, I really like it. There's a lot of stuff on this car too. Just like I said, this is an EX version, so it's not the fully loaded one, but it comes nicely equipped. So we got power. We do actually have power seats. The front seat, the driver's seat, is power with memory settings here. It's got folding mirrors, which is always cool. So you just push a button and fold away they do. It's pretty cool. And it does come standard with heated seats and heated steering wheel, which we definitely love here. Especially the heated wheel. That's the thing, one of my favorite things. On a nice cold day like today, nothing like having a nice heated steering wheel when you're driving. Displays are pretty nice and clear. Yeah, so I was playing with some of this stuff earlier. This has got a lot of stuff. So you can push mode to switch your stations here.
Through the daily grinds and then wrap it up with news.
You mute. But it's got like the menu up here is kind of interesting. So if you push this button right here, it changes everything over here. So there's like this. It has like compass, radio station, tire pressure, which I guess only shows that when it's driving. And then you can also go down here like this. I'm sorry, that's the cruise control. Cruise control here, and then the menu stuff is on the left side here. You can kind of scroll down and change stuff. Feedback, smart trunk. touch turn signal, welcome light, convenience, seat easy access, and so that just pushes the power seat back when you open the door, and then it returns back to the position that you had it set at before you turned off the car. There's just like all kinds of stuff in here. Driver assist. And then there's the main menus on that screen. We just keep leaving it this way. So once you get to, like, say this screen right here, then you can hit the scroll button down here and you can show different things. So like trip odometer. Like if you don't like if this is nice, it has it both. So it has, like, if you like this type of dial, which is standard, which is kind of nice when you're going into charge mode over here, charge and eco. It's kind of nice to see that part of it. But one thing I'm kind of used to ever since I've gotten used to a digital speedometer, I kind of prefer that. So looking at a dial is not really the best thing for me. So you can just switch it to that. So if you want to do miles per hour, you can just do it that way. Or compass, or your radio station, tire pressure. Tire pressure is kind of nice just to check it quickly. And then the other one's just user settings. But so if you don't like that, you can go to driving style, show you that kind of information. Energy flow, total range, electric, and then on gasoline. And over here, this thing has its own, has a whole array of other stuff going on over here. Okay, so this kind of shows you your range on EV. It's not that. Charging times, charging stations. Oh, interesting. Gas stations. This has like Apple CarPlay and Android Auto too, so it's probably how it's probably updating some of this stuff. I'm not exactly sure if it automatically updates or not, but it. So it's back to that one.
One of the biggest all-road bands in the world. Like you've never heard them before.
Mute. There we go. Basic image. It's another way to turn the radio on down here. It's just a regular button.
www.SiriusXM.com/go to sign up online.
Turn it off that way. Video.
Biggest names in morning entertainment.
Different ways to turn it on and off. Media. Let's see, track. Yeah, it's got all kinds of stuff. This being a hybrid of sorts, engine just kicked on when I did that. Oh, because we turned the AC on maybe or something, I don't know. Oh yeah, this is an interesting feature of this car. It has this driver only climate, which is I thought was kind of interesting. So it automatically shuts off all the vents and everything, and it directs everything towards the driver. So if you want to be super efficient, you can hit the driver only mode. Let's turn that off. see. Let's look at displays up here. So that's kind of was expecting a display down here. It's a little bit different. So it's actually up here. You have to, heated steering wheel, active eco, which is just an eco mode, HEV. This allows you to turn off the electric, so if you want to like save your battery for going into town or something, if you're coming from out of town or something, you want to cruise on the highway using gas only, although this car is capable of going up to 75 on a pure electric mode, you still might want to save your battery for certain conditions, so you can just push that button and it will turn your electric off, so you can kind of save it. Let's get ports down here. It's kind of nice. It actually says how many watts you can put through this. So it's not only that it's 12 volt, it's actually 180 max, which is good if you want to use like an AC inverter or something. If you want to plug in something, you know that you can only go up to 180 before it pops the fuse. So that's actually nice that they actually say that. For your charging. And let's see what else we got over here. Oh yeah. This is it's a lighted glove box. I don't even see that that often. Harman Kardon sound system. Sounds pretty good. I really enjoy driving this car. It's pretty nice. I mean, it's a hefty car. It's about 3,800 pounds, so it's not exactly super light and tossable or anything. But it's a very roomy car. I mean, this is a big car. I mean, this is as big as a Tesla. I would say a Tesla Model S. I would say probably about the same size, just roughly. This one has a 20-mile EPA electric range, which I can pretty much verify that that's what it is. That's what I've been getting, which is very useful. You know, a lot of earlier electric hybrid type cars, like the Prius, for example, has only like a 12-mile range or so, and that's kind of limiting. But when you got 29, that's quite a bit different. You can actually go a longer distance. You might be able to actually commute to and from work. I mean, it definitely feels hefty. I mean, it's definitely more like a Volt as far as the kind of the driving experience here, which is good. You know, it's good. It's just not, you know, it's certainly not sports car or anything. This one has a 9.8 kilowatt battery pack, but it's a little bit different than other cars. It has it's a lithium polymer battery. So this is what the Kia Soul uses as well. It's the only other cars that I know of that use the lithium polymer cells. So I don't think that the Kia Soul has had any issues with battery degradation or anything. So I mean, they have some sort of foothold on a technology that's a little bit different than what the other automakers are making or are using the lithium polymer cells. I mean, these cells are typically used in, or not these specific cells, but the same chemistry is used like in Apple iPhones and iPods and things like that, where you really want the maximum density, and maybe don't care so much about life or capacity, or even well, capacity yes, but not so much about
longevity. You don't really care about that as much as just getting that maximum power out of the cell per weight. And that's one of the things that the lithium polymers are best at, is power density per weight. One thing that's kind of interesting about this car is it has a 6-speed automatic transmission, which I've never driven a hybrid, electric hybrid, that has a 6-speed automatic transmission. All the cars are usually just single speed, or if they're a hybrid, they have a CVT, which is a continuously variable transmission. Any kind of a combo of electric and gas car has always been a CVT. I've never seen a car where they've actually put an automatic transmission in here. So this is kind of an interesting deal. Another thing that makes it a little bit more unique. And I have to say, it works pretty nicely. So instead of the torque converter in the automatic, it actually has electric motor assist. So they eliminate the torque converter, and it has electric to kind of supplement it. So it's always like a little bit of battery power, even when it's in full gas mode, because it's just enough to keep you going. But it's interesting though too, the way the car drives. One thing I noticed that's different about it, since it does have the automatic transmission, even when you're in pure electric mode, it appears to shift in pure EV mode, which is pretty interesting, because that kind of opens up an idea of a future possibility with electric cars, is that, you know, to actually have a transmission, you know, because all electric cars have just no transmission. They have a single speed and that's it. Another thing about how the car drives, it drives more like an automatic transmission car, or more like a hybrid in the sense, but except it's pure electric up until 29 miles or so. But it I notice it tends to drive more like an automatic transmission car, because it actually does have an automatic transmission. I mean, not a CVT, but an actual automatic. And so it tends to coast a lot, and there's no way to adjust that. But if you do brake, you'll notice that the dial changes and it goes into full charge mode there. When it goes all the way to the left, you're full regen braking. So it does regen. It does it pretty effortlessly, pretty smoothly. Yeah, see, it lurches. This lurches when you come off a stop just a little bit. There's like a weird, like slightly lurching kind of feeling, kind of like an automatic transmission shifting from first to second. Like there's like just a little bit of a. Other than that, it's like it drives great. Yeah, it continues to be interesting driving this thing. It's just, it has a different experience. It has an automatic transmission. You can feel it shifting, and even when it's in EV mode. It's quite interesting, quite different. I wish it had an indicator telling you what gear you're in, though. It doesn't tell you anything. It's like just totally automatic. It'd be nice to know if there was like what gear you're in. I mean, I just think that would be interesting to know. Let's go stop here. We do a 0 to 60 time. Set your timer. Here we go. Like it reverts to a automatic transmission mode, and that's with about 25% charge remaining, so it does kick in even when there's still battery. But you can actually drive under like just normal driving. You can pretty much stay in EV mode until the battery's depleted most of the time. I mean, you really have to be pretty aggressive to get it to kick in. And it can go all the way up to 75 miles an hour as far in pure EV mode. So we're back to EV mode. It would tell you, like, you know, depending on what this gauge is telling you. If you're in the gray power mode, then the engine's on. Otherwise, if you're in the green, you're pretty much in electric mode. You really can't tell all that much. I mean, it's pretty quiet. I mean, unless you're just really mashing it, it's pretty hard to tell when it kicks in and kicks off. There's no abrupt change or anything. It's actually pretty smooth. When the gauge is down to the blue here, there's actually still maybe about an eighth of a tank of electricity. See, now it just went into hybrid mode right there, so I wasn't able to quite make it back. So it says electric range is 0 now. So I guess we're in hybrid mode now. It's pretty effortless. You don't really notice any difference. You don't even really hear the engine kick in or anything. Only if you just mash the throttle. there, probably just so that the car can it assists it when it's in when it's at stop, just coming off of idle. You know, if you're at a stop sign or a red light, it initially to start the car, it starts in electric anyway, even when the battery's depleted, just to get you up and running, and then the engine kicks in, because there's probably no starter. It's like a start-stop at that point. There's really no starter or anything. We'll just start to, so it leaves a little bit of battery in there in reserve, but nothing as far as electric range. Okay, so it tells you right off the bat, 25%. We have a light here, red one flashing, green one on. That's nice. I mean, that's all you really need to know. It tells you that you're at 25, it's up to 26 now. Tells you the information you need to see. Very nice. Don't even have to turn on the car or look at anything more. That's uncommon. Usually the other way around. This guy's got it right. Let's just go in here and just for fun. Let's see what else we can find here. Yep, EV range. We don't want that. I think there was energy battery information. Here we go. Yeah, see, there you go. That place right there, it tells you 26%. That's all I need to know. Okay, one interesting quirk that I just noticed when charging. This is one of the few cars that locks the port, the level 2 charger, when the plug is plugged in. It actually locks it in place, so you can't unplug it. And so Volkswagen e-Golf does this as well. So what I had to do in this particular case, I had to hit the unlock button on the fob here. And that's how it unlocked it. So even if you're charging at home in a safe environment where you leave all the doors unlocked, it's still going to lock it. So that's kind of annoying. I hope there's a way to deactivate that. But certainly when you push the lock button, I could totally understand. You lock it, you could lock the charge port. That's good. But when you're at home in your garage, you don't need that, and you don't want to do that. You shouldn't have to hit the open button if you leave the cars unlocked anyway. So. That's going to do it for this review of a 2017 Kia Optima Plug-in Hybrid EX. I hope you enjoyed watching it. Please like and subscribe if you did. Many more videos to come.